Yes, guys, welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. It's been an interesting week, an interesting weekend. Frustrating for most Tottenham fans in some form or fashion. And if you might have noticed the artistic impression that I like to bring to this channel, then tonight's thumbnail tries to represent that. I've taken everyone's pictures and put them into a black and white kind of monotoned shade, because life is never black or white. Life is always, as is football, a subtle shade of grey. And I've tried to now I'm making it. The only reason I put it in black and white is because we've got a new guest on the show who's running a little bit late, and that is Pete. You might know Pete from back in the day on Savage Show. I asked him for a thumbnail, so I asked him for a selfie, and he sent me a picture in black and white, and it looked weird. So I've put everybody else's in black and white too, but I hope the transition makes sense. Sorry we're 5 minutes late. But, you know, these things happen. Guys, we are here for Tottenham Takes, and I've got a lot of notes I want to talk through about what happened yesterday. But ultimately, I do feel like the fan base, as ever, is split down the middle right now, with some of the glass being very much half full, others finding it very much half empty. And the criticisms of everyone's opinions is flying and furious as ever. And here tonight to talk us through it, we have... well, hopefully, George and Pete, who are running a bit late, but also, of course, the Irish Hotspur and Henry from Henry Wright TV. Dave, starting with you, my man. How are you doing, buddy? How you doing?
Yeah, personally, I'm good, full of energy, in a good space mentally. Tottenham-wise, not so good. Very, very deflated after that result against Everton. A number of things that, you know, I've highlighted maybe this season, or problems that I highlighted coming into this season, still coming back to haunt us, and it's really annoying me. We just don't learn our lessons. So, yeah, plenty to unpack tonight.
Plenty to unpack. Henry Wright suffering with some buyer's remorse from the bars last night, apparently. How you doing? How you doing, Henry? You good, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Head's a little bit sore. I feel like I've been in the ring with Tyson. But, yeah, apart from that, I'm all good, mate. A little bit disappointed about yesterday. Same as what you said, I feel like the fan base is a little bit like a flat tyre, just waiting to either run out of there or get some new life. But, yeah, a lot to get through, a lot to talk about. Happy to chop it up with you guys and Pete when he joins.
Speak of the devil, and he shall arrive. He's right here. Oh, his camera's all been flipped over the place. Did I catch you early,
boys.
Pete? How you doing, mate?
Technical difficulty. I'm all right. You're all right.
Yeah, good to see you, man. Good to have you back on the... well, I think it's your debut on the channel, but good to see you back in the streaming world, mate. It's great to...
Yeah, he's on yours. I think the last time I was on a show with you, I think you was only on 10K. That's how long ago I think it was. Don't worry, mate. One night with me, you'll be back there, so don't worry about it.
Yeah. Now, listen, I've got a feeling tonight's going to be possibly a little bit spicy. I hope that we're going to have to be balanced and stuff. But I do want to start, before we get into the notes of this sort of early monologue that I want to give before I let everyone come in, just by asking everybody to do the honours. There's 200 people in the house early on a Sunday evening. If you can smash the like button for me, it would mean the world. If you can hit the subscribe button for me if you haven't already, and even if you have, can you double check you still are? Hashtag YouTube shenanigans are continuously afoot. And hit the notification bell and drop a comment into the chat section. We'll be bringing them up as we go through. I just want to get straight into it, guys. So I will be bringing up your comments, but even tonight, just apologize to even the members. I'm not going to have time to go through and say hello to everybody, but I'm saying hello to everybody collectively right now. It's great to see you all. And obviously, if you just come from the front room where you've just watched Arsenal take the points against Liverpool, it's another little dig into our ribcage on the weekend's outcomes. So I've got a feeling it's going to be a little bit spicy one tonight. But I want to start by saying this, right? So here are some things that I've heard from Tottenham fans in the last 48 hours, right? The good and the bad, the positive and the negative, because some of these are completely in kind of opposition to each other. And I want to find out where the three of you sit in terms of your kind of emotional presence right now. So we're fifth in the league, and we are still outside chance title challengers. It's the best football for 6 years at Tottenham Hotspur, if not longer. Why is everyone moaning? We've never had such a situation with the happiest players we've ever had, who absolutely adore our manager. We are competing with Euro giants for all the players we want. We are massive. The future is bright. The future is lily white. We've got the most points versus the top six in absolute years. Things are fantastic. We have our Tottenham back. We're the richest team in London. You'll never sing that. At the same time, guys, at the same time, I'm also hearing we are incredibly tactically naive. We have no ability to see a game out. There's more space behind us than there is in Tottenham's trophy cabinet. What happened yesterday has been coming for ages. We've conceded 8 goals in the 90th minute or beyond for this season. The most ever. Oh, sorry, yeah, we conceded 8 goals in 90 minutes or beyond, which is the most ever for us and the most in the Premier League this season. We've dropped 18 points from leading positions, yet our defence is apparently settled for the next decade. We've scored the third most amount of goals, yet everyone's asking for a new striker, and yet Richie is the most informed player in the Premier League. I mean, like, there's so much positivity in those comments and so much pessimism in those comments as well. Dave, I'll start with you, mate. Where are we at? Where are you at in terms of your focus on Tottenham's situation as it stands?
Look, just off the back of them comments, I think first of all, it's very important to differentiate initial reaction to the game that we've seen and sort of the season in general. I think the first half, a lot of the positive comments are a reflection in the season in general. I don't think I speak for everybody here. No one's upset with how the season's panned out. You know, there's been a lot of positives, a lot of highs and stuff like that. But in recently, the slide has started to happen. You know, the performances haven't been great. We haven't created a lot of clear-cut opportunities. Everyone's gone on about killing off teams, but we're not creating the opportunities to be able to kill off the opposition. You know, we control a lot of possession, but also defensively, we are a bit naive at times. You know, I would say to people, give the defense time. Let's not forget that defense, you know, that we're seeing the last couple of games, they were rolled out there for the first 10 games of the season and were crucial to our unbeaten run for the first 10 games of the season. They've had Romero and Van de Ven have had long-term injuries. Van de Ven has come back a lot quicker than what Romero has. But that defense will get back to being good. So I'm not really too concerned on that. However, you know, I think we've won one of our last 6 away games. That's concerning. We haven't kept a clean sheet in 14 games. That's concerning. You know, the slide is starting to happen from where we were at the start of the season, and it's the same old Tottenham. As soon as they have to start relying on squad depth and stuff like that, it derails the season. It's every single season. The squad depth isn't good enough. We know this, and we have to take the hit until we can get it sorted out even more in the summer. And that's where I'm at with it for me. You know, the slide only started happening when we had to rely on squad players. And now that we're getting players back, they're finding it hard to pick it up from where we were. So, you know, it's just the same old problems that haunt us every single season, but we're going in the right direction.
Interesting start. So there's a difference between where we started and where we're going. And unfortunately, that for me, then that's an issue, that everyone was waiting for our best players to come back. Most of our best players are back, yet the kick into gear hasn't really arrived, at least in performances. Henry, I'll move down to you, mate. What's your general stance on what's going on at Tottenham of late and where you are just in the season overall?
The first thing I'll say is I don't think there's another fan base in the Premier League that is as reactionary as ours. If we would have beaten Everton, it would have been the title race is back on, Arsenal in the mud, we're coming for City and Liverpool. Because we didn't win the game, everyone's at each other's throats. The 5 things I'll say before I get into the season is we need 3 or 4 things for this to actually work. We need an out-and-out number 6 at DM. We do not have one. Sar's not the guy. Bentancur, Højbjerg, Bissouma. We don't have anyone that can sit in front of the back line and sweep up. Whether you think it's Bentancur or Sar, let's be honest, it's not. The second thing is we don't have anyone on that pitch, whether it's Son, Maddison or Romero, that can drag a team for a result. We are missing a captain desperately. We've given away more points from winning positions than any team in Premier League history. So this isn't a recent thing. This has been going on since the Premier League began. We, as a football club, since Ledley King, in my opinion, you could say Harry Kane, but since Ledley King, have not had a captain that can galvanise a squad. Harry Kane led by example because of his brilliance, the same as Son. But we don't have one, and yesterday's shown it. And right now, I think we're all in this kind of, we just feel a bit dull. Like, the football is great. It's the best we've seen in years. But we're missing 3 or 4 things which teams around us have. And that's why we're not in this position right now of where Liverpool and City are. We don't have a killer. We've scored so many goals, but at the moment, only one of our forwards is performing. Big questions about Brennan Johnson. Is Kulusevski the guy at right wing? Is Romero the same since he come back? You know, from his injury. I don't know, but like at the moment, I do feel positive because we are. You know, I know we've only got top 4 to play for now, and that is it. You know, we are only 2 points off of Villa. And I think that will be the hammer and tong. These two will be going at it for the remainder of the season for top 4. But when we get in the summer, we've got to drop 150 million. We had the conversation earlier, Sean. We've got to drop 150, 200 million on that team to get a number 6, a number 9, and a winger. It's 200 million pounds. Like number 6s and forwards right now and number 9s, there's not a market for it. You're paying for potential now. Chelsea are dropping nearly 300 million on Lavia, Enzo Fernandez, and Concedo. That's what the market.
Those days are gone, mate. Those days are gone.
Yeah, I do believe that Ange will be successful, but I just don't know if our fans, and I'm not saying us three or the chat, but all of our fans want this instant success. You've got to win. You've got to win. You've got to win. I don't think because we've been here so long to wait for a trophy. I don't think fans are prepared to sit and wait another 2 years to be potentially where Arsenal are right now. Like if we had back-to-back 8th place finishes like Arteta had, get him out, not good enough. Now Arsenal are kind of reaping the benefits. They're now 2 points off of top. Just beat Liverpool at home. They're now reaping the benefit. I don't know where I'm at, Sean. I'm very much 1 minute I want to flipping go for absolutely everyone in this team. The next minute I'm like, yep, everything's hunky dory. We're coming for it. We're coming for Liverpool's necks. I've never felt like this since I've been a Tottenham fan. Like I'm very much.
I'm the same, Henry, mate. Like I went out for a walk this morning, and I was trying to get my thoughts off my chest with the dog, right? And usually when I go for a walk, everything comes out. Everything gets. I did like 11 takes, 12 attempts to explain. Like I don't know where I sit. Like I see that there's issues, but I also love what we're doing, and I think that we've done brilliant stuff in one areas, but yeah, it hasn't clicked yet. You want to be frustrated, but you also want to be patient. And in the end, I put the camera away and threw the tennis ball for Bugsy because I couldn't figure out how to say it. Pete, maybe you can do a better job than I've tried to do. Where are you at, mate, with where we're at the moment, buddy?
Well, I agree with what has been said so far, and especially Henry was talking about the squad. I agree with all that. Basically, what you said at the beginning, all them points, all them statements you read out, Sean, all of them could be true. That's the thing about it. That's Tottenham, innit? But for me, I think at the moment, I'm not sure if it's the apart from the squad issues that the style of play is sort of catching up with us, where Ange can get away with doing that, being that open in the Scottish League and all that. But in the Premier League, it's different. So I think there you may have to start tweaking it a bit. Not wholesale changes, just minor adjustments to make up for the fact that you cannot leave the back two exposed as much as you probably used to doing, because in the Premier League teams will punish you for it, as we're finding. We're playing last 2 teams we played, let's be honest, are not top teams, they're average, and they've got at our back four time and time again. I know we're missing a couple of players, but it's been well documented. Even when at the beginning, when we was like 10 games in, we still had a few flaky games. Let's not pretend otherwise. Do you know what I mean? So for me, I think that's where we're at. I think teams have sort of worked us out a bit. They know what we're going to do. Like, yes, our attacking play is our biggest strength, but it's also our biggest weakness because the way we overcommit, we leave the back door pretty much wide open. And if it weren't for the back two, then we'd be in a lot of trouble. Let's be honest, this back five is probably our best since sort of the peak Poch back five with Alderweireld, Danny Rose, Vertonghen. So it's not a personnel problem. Do you know what I mean? Because they're mustard. And you look at the last challenges we have to keep making and all that, and we're doing. So I don't think it's a personnel problem. I think it's just a slight system change that needs to happen. Minor adjustments. Obviously, better players make it better, obviously. But as Henry's saying, I think we lack that player, and that will sit in the back four. And then I'd also wonder if we did have him, would Ange use him in that way, or would he have him going forward as well? Because that's it. That's his nature, and he's been that way for all his career. But let's be honest, he's not managed at the elite level yet. Now he has. I think he's going to have to learn a bit about himself as well, because every manager has come to this league has had to adjust. Pep Guardiola did it. He went from tiki-taka football. Don't get me wrong, Man City played great football, but he also tweaked his system a bit, where he went and got Kyle Walker instead of having an out-and-out right back, he played him as inverted fullback. To his primary job is to win the ball back when they get countered, because it uses his pace and athleticism to do it. Then you had Fernandinho, who for about 8 years was subtly kicking the crap out of everyone, but stopping attacks in the opposition's half before they got near their back four, because they played that quite well open as well. So there's the sort of changes we need. Do you know what I mean? From my opinion, just to calm things down a bit and just have a bit of solidity.
Do you think that Ange will make the tweaks? He hasn't done it so far. What is he, 58 years old, 57, 58 years old? He's got through his career doing it his way. The Australians that I've spoken to that know him say he's a bit, he's wonderful, but he's a bit pig-headed, a bit stubborn. And everywhere he's gone, he's had success doing it his way. And to your point, Pete, he hasn't done it at the very highest level. At the very highest level, all the other managers that are very top tier don't have a one trick, are not a master of one. They're a jack of all trades, but a very good jack of all trades, so to speak. Do you think Ange has the willingness to tweak and kind of pivot?
I like to think so. There's a fine line between stubbornness and confidence. Do you know what I mean? I think he'll be the first to say that he's not the finished product, because I think he's quite honest in saying that. Well, I've not. If I'm Ange, I'm saying I'm not managed at the top level. So until I've done that consistently, then I'm not the finished product. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I like to think so, because I really like what he's doing. I like him as a manager. I think he's great. I just think I'd hate for it to fall apart, because when Conte and Mourinho were very stubborn with their systems and we hated it, it can be the other way as well. If you're too attacking and you're losing games or dropping points all the time, it can also we can fans start getting up with it, especially if it starts like top four don't happen, that sort of thing. Yeah, there's a fine balance.
Do we not think we're being a bit reactionary here, though? Because it seems like every time we lose a game at Tottenham Hotspur and it's been Everton under manager, straight away everyone goes for the managers, his tactics, this, that, and the other.
I've been saying that for a while, Dave.
No, look, I get it, but it's the same common theme every single manager we have. As soon as we lose a game, everyone goes for him. As soon as Postecoglou lost to Fulham, everyone went for him because of the changes he made. Other games this season, after the Chelsea game, everyone went for him, even though no one had a problem with his tactics the first 10 games of the season. The problem is, at Tottenham now in the last few years, we've constantly rotated and chopped and changed managers. So we have a squad that reflects that. It's finally starting to get sorted out, and it's going in a certain direction. But we've still got dregs hanging on that we've had to use this season. And when we have, the results and the drop-off in performances have happened, which has killed all momentum around the season and around the club as is. Now that we're starting to get our players back, they're going to have to come back in and pick it up. But the problem here isn't the manager, which we always go for. Yes, there are little problems within the system and stuff like that. Well, will be ironed out, but it's not a massive issue. The problem is the squad, and we need to keep improving that and keep bringing in players under his ideals that match his philosophy and can play his way, and you will not see this continue to happen. But this happens every single season.
Okay, let me ask you
Dave. Go on.
I just want to ask one question, and I want to play devil's advocate here, like Sean does. Do Tottenham have a better squad than Aston Villa?
Yeah.
Okay. Aston Villa have been in Europe this season and are still in the FA Cup and are above us in the Premier League. So my second question is, when Tottenham eventually get into Europe,
probably better for, I'd say it's very close. Probably better first.
It's on a par though, isn't it? Would you say it's on a par?
It's similar.
And you might, some people would say Emery, some people would say Postecoglou. The thing is, they've played 12 games more than us this season. The way Tottenham's system is, when we get back into Europe, can you see right now Tottenham doing this level of performances Thursday, Sunday, Thursday, Sunday, Thursday, Sunday? Then you add in League Cup, FA Cup. That is the question mark I have over Ange's system. I don't know what you got. I think it's an interesting debate.
I disagree. I think Villa's squad is stronger. I think they've got, maybe midfield is similar strength in depth. They've got better strength across the back line in depth, and they've probably, got a bit better strength in depth across the forward line we have. I haven't seen Villa have make-up benches the way we have had this season. So I disagree.
They haven't had 12 injuries like we've had, I wouldn't say.
Yeah, but a lot of our injuries is because of the system is 100 miles an hour.
Fine.
It's very
Hang on.
Yeah.
Injuries happened under Conte last season, and the system wasn't 100 miles per hour. We had a lot of injuries last season under Conte. No one wants to talk about.
Yes, we had a lot of injuries, but to this level of, I mean, we've lost both our first centre backs. Richarlison, what did he break his pubic bone or something? I mean, plus the suspensions as well. That's another thing we're not talking about. We've had more red cards. I think us and Liverpool have had the most amount of red cards.
There's a couple of differences, though, between us and Aston Villa. Like, Aston Villa have had a couple of years outside of selling Jack Grealish, their main player. This is our first season outside of selling Harry Kane. And Emery's been in the job longer than what Postecoglou has. So they've had a lot longer to get it together than what we have this season.
Listen, I don't think, Dave, I wasn't digging out the manager. I just think there's that question mark will be there. I really like him, and I really hope he succeeds. But I do think this type of football is naive to keep coming in and playing this open. Because I said, imagine playing Liverpool at their peak like that. I mean, you'll get torn to shreds. Or going in the Champions League playing like that, going to some tough away game. Imagine going to Leverkusen playing like that, or Bayern Munich. You're getting destroyed. So I just think that there's got to be. I think I'd like him to see some subtle changes. If he can get the players to make them changes, great, yeah. And that's always the question: does he get the tools he needs? As every man that's the same question, and hopefully we find that out. And it's a positive. Thing instead of what usually happens. But I just think at the moment there could be some subtle changes he could make just to make us a bit less open and easy to counter-attack. For me, like when we talk about Kyle Walker's, what he does, I think maybe using Destiny in that role rather than him keep going in the box. Because when you look at our left-hand side, quite often you got Werner there. Maddison likes to operate in that sort of inside channel. And then you got Destiny there, where Destiny's got the pace and the strength, the athleticism to sort of really get back and recover the ball. I'd sort of look to use him in that role, really, and just see out the season while we then regroup in the summer and go again, and hopefully buy some of these players. But I do agree with what you're saying. The dregs from previous managers are hanging on, and we've got to stop that. Keep chopping and changing all the time. I hang my hat on this geezer and get him run with it. I'll give him the time. But I do think in that time, the Premier League is the most unforgiving league in the world, yeah? And so it can all go very quickly. One week you can be a hero, and 4 weeks you could be the villain, yeah? Conte, it changed very quickly on him. Do you know what I mean? We can go. We've done it before as a fan base. Do you know what I mean? Levy can pull the plug whenever he feels like it if it's affecting the financial possibilities of the squad. Hopefully we don't get anywhere near that, but I just think we just need some slight changes, because in the end, he's not managed at this level before. He's not used to this level of competition. When he's in the Scottish League, he's playing Celtic. He's got Ayr United, Forfar Athletic, all these other people. It's like it's not even Conference League standard, isn't it? It's below that. So you can sort of do these things, but I think when you're in the Premier League, just some slight subtle adjustments to what he's doing, and I think it'd be fine, because overall it's positive.
Yeah, it is, of course. I know, like, you can't have in the eyes of some, if you're critiquing and analysing situations, then you're considered negative. And if you want to always look for the positive, then you're a happy clapper. I know there's always going to be that kind of extreme reaction to different people's opinions. But in terms of tweaking the system, is one of these things, like Frank here, good to see you, Frank. He's advocating, and I've seen him say this for a while, I don't even think it has to be 10 yards. Personally, I think it's a little bit deeper, like 5 yards on the pitch. Like against Brentford, I saw when we had the ball in the first half and we were struggling to unlock the door, we were so north. Had such high altitude. It was insane. I think that in the first 20 minutes, I saw Romero and Van der Ven about 8 yards outside of the penalty area of Brentford. Like at home, it was ridiculous. Like 21 players were crammed into the final third of the pitch, and I just wonder if that's a little bit too extreme. And I'd also extend to, setting up for set pieces when we were giving away cheap free kicks from the width that were in our area. We're standing, our defensive line is about maybe 12 feet, 4 or 5 yards outside of our penalty area. No other team does that from set pieces. Everyone else usually uses the 18-yard box as some sort of baseline of where to stand. And we're 3 or 4 yards north of that. And I just wonder whether or not that is, in and of itself, inviting unnecessary pressure to the point where the risk reward of the high line starts to get a little bit confused. I don't know if anyone wants to take my stance on that on.
I think when it comes to the high line, I think we also have to understand when we dominate a lot of the possession the way we do, especially in first half of games and stuff like that. Naturally, your line is going to be high because you're camped in the opposition half. It's sometimes our naivety in the ball when we stop going at teams and we start doing this 5-yard stuff looking pretty. That's when we get the ball turned over, and that's when the high line is sort of exposed. We're lucky that we have Mickey van der Ven there. It allows us to sort of play it. But I would argue, maybe in the second half, you might drop it back a little bit deeper as the game goes on, towards the end of the game. But naturally, it's going to play high when you're camped in the opposition half on the ball. You're naturally, your defensive line is always going to be just on the halfway line or just behind it. So I'm not too concerned about that, to be brutally honest. I just think in possession, sometimes we don't help ourselves where we lose the ball. I think players are a bit naive in that regard, personally.
Yeah, I agree with that. And they're not shrewd enough to be going back to Mourinho, what he used to say about being clever. See you next Tuesday. You don't really have that nous among the team to do. We'll concede silly free kicks normally in our half, whether they concede them in their half. Do you know what I mean? That sort of that naivety as well runs deep within the squad. Just look at Saturday when they were. What Jack Harrison was doing to Vicario, not once did then someone go and stand in front of him and say, "Well, I'll protect you. If he comes near you, I'll block him off." Yeah, that sort of naivety.
Is that because we have zonal marking though, and that there's like obviously some.
Yeah, but you've got to adapt to the situation. He's got to come from the touchline, or more importantly, the players around him can see that's happening. The keeper's getting really rattled with it, so his confidence is going to drop because it's just how league works. And not one of them have gone, look, let's go and stand in front of him and let's just protect him for 5 minutes. Yeah, someone like a Højbjerg, who's not very good in the air, but is a bit rough and ready. But if he comes, I'll sort him out. Yeah,
that's where
Sunday league standard.
Like Roy Keane said on the Beckham documentary, someone comes into him and tackles Beckham, I'm going to get him back. We need someone like that, a dog, a flipping an animal in our team that galvanizes the squad. Like, you don't have to be the best players. Like, Jordan Henderson was a fantastic captain. Wasn't the best player, but he got the best out of the likes of Trent, out of Robertson, out of, Mane, Salah, Firmino. He was that person. Roy Keane was a great player, but he's not levels compared to some of the other DMs, but he galvanized the team. Like, and I would like to see Romero do that. But the thing I worry with Romero, he'll go to the extreme and end up chinning someone. Romero has taken to the captaincy's armband relatively well. He's done relatively well, but the amount of pelters I see, and look, everyone knows I've been very critical on Romero, but the amount of pelters he was getting yesterday on Twitter was absolutely insane.
I thought he had a good game individually. Him, apart from all the set pieces, the defense was an absolute mess, and everyone obviously the focus is on how brilliant Van der Ven was. But I actually thought Romero had a good game generally. I think his passing is I don't think there's a better centre back in the Premier League at zipping the ball forward and getting it to where its intended target is. I think he had a good game. I think that as a captain, he needs to be able to identify the problems during the game. You can't always wait for half time to come and then for. Do we not?
Go on, Dave.
Do we not think that's the players though? Like, it was similar under Conte. Players waiting for halftime messages. For me, it goes back to maybe what Henry's saying. There's no sort of leader on the football pitch in moments speaking at people, barking at people, and giving them what they need, whether it's a rollicking to get them going or whether it's an arm around their shoulder. We don't have that sort of leader on the pitch. Madison, for instance, against Brentford. Why did he keep going down the middle when it was blocked off? Where's the player intelligence? Where's the smartness on the pitch for someone to say, why don't we go back to what we were doing in the first few minutes where we were killing them out wide and get the ball out wide and go again? But every time we kept on going down the middle, they had to wait for Ange Postecoglou to get in at them half time, the eye in the sky Millie Jedinak to come out and tell them to go back down out wide. And look what happened. They shouldn't need the management to tell them that at half time. They're not babies. They've played football all their lives. At some point, they have to be able to figure it out on the pitch. Everyone always looks at the manager to solve these problems. He sets up the team, he gives them the game plan, and he sends them out there. All he can do after that is try and give messages from the sideline and talk to them at half time. But on the football pitch, some of these players have to learn to be smarter. They have to learn to look after themselves. The Vicario thing, for instance, all that takes is a bit of communication. Someone go, teams are targeting Vicario and putting a player on him, because what it does, it impedes him coming out to take that corner kick and collect it. You put a player that puts his body between Vicario and the defender, it pushes him out. It actually frees Vicario out to be able to come out and collect it. But the reason why he can't is because he's got a player leaning into him, so he's already being hindered. And we miss that communication, that sort of leader on the pitch. We've got great leader by Son, who leads by example. Romero, who sort of leads by example through his aggression on the pitch and stuff like that. But what you don't have is a talker, like a Jordan Henderson, like a Connor Cody used to be for Wolves, someone like that, that just, knits it all sort of together. And we seriously lack that.
I agree. That's what I mean. That's all it takes. It's common sense. It's Sunday league stuff, that is. That's pub football, where the geezer would go stand on the goalie, stand on his toe, grab his nuts, all that sort of stuff, and then someone will get in between them and just push him away, keep pushing him away. Yeah. But we just stood there and watched it happen. And I'm like, you think like the first time, second time, I think we talked like 3 or 4 times, and they're just leaving him, hung him out to dry, really.
8 times. I felt sorry for him. By half time, we had to face that.
And they're sort of waiting. Our VAR will pick that up, and it's sort of you're hedging your bets there. And we're going to get that every week now, because now, obviously, the word's out. I mean, every week someone will do it. Imagine playing against Peak Stoke like that. Tony Pulis at Stoke. These big animals, West Brom, any Tony Pulis team, they'll be all over that. And we'll see that every week now. They'll just crowd him out. So we've got to then change the system to go, right, at these corner kick, we can't allow that. Yeah, someone's got to protect him.
It's not just corner kicks. I do want to talk about the positives as well, because obviously, because there is the other side of the argument, right? Like how good we are, how good we have gone, of how far we've come since last summer. But I do just want, whilst we're talking about the concerns that we have, set pieces generally is our biggest Achilles heel at the moment, right? Not just the corner kicks, but also the propensity to give up corners cheap. I don't remember really any forced issues. We were just booting balls out for corner kicks, knowing that another one of those things was going to get put right into on the sixpence. I'm sitting there going, first and foremost, stop the unnecessary concessions here. You don't need to be kicking it out for a corner kick like you are. And then when you do it, can we finally please put someone on Jack Harrison? But it's not just the corner kicks. We're giving up cheap free kicks in that dangerous area. Brentford almost tore us apart doing it in that zone that's sort of on the right-hand side, 25 yards into our half.
On this as well, we haven't got a centre-back who's playing at the moment who's good in the air. Our best centre-back in the air is Dragusin. Wouldn't it just make sense, and I know it's easier said than done, but when you're in these games and you're on the 70th minute, just make a tactical change. Like some of the changes yesterday, I didn't see the point. We're trying to see a game out of bringing on Brian Hill. What is Brian? You're in a physical game away at Goodison Park. The crowd are on your back. Why are you bringing Brian Hill on? Why is Royale and Dragusin not brought on in the 75th minute to see that game out? And this is where some of the naivety is. If that's a Klopp, a Guardiola, an Emery, an Angelotti, a Simeone, you're going for 3 points. We seem to go, we'd rather go and get another goal than see it out. And that's great when it works. But I'm yet to see that work when we've been 2-1 up and we're going to get another goal. When we're under the cosh.
I don't think
to be fair to Brian Gill. To be fair to Brian Gill, I think he showed more aggression than Johnson ever does. And he's probably two-thirds of the side.
Surely,
I wouldn't have put him on. I wouldn't have put him on then. No. But in his defence, I know he's lightweight, but at least he tries. Where
I've seen more meat on a chip than that guy, Pete. Like he gets out.
I know.
Gets out barged by the wind.
Listen, if we sell him, we'll get $1 million for every stone he weighs. Yeah, but he still shows more aggression and tenacity than Johnson does. I will say that.
Surely your instinct would be, let's change the system a little bit for the last 5 minutes and bring on a centre. You got Dominic CalvertLewin, who's got Romero and Van der Ven beating the air every single day of the week. So surely you'd say to Dragusin, come on and sit on Calvert-Lewin. You are a monster in the air. I think he's the 3rd best centre-back in Europe in the air when it comes to aerial duels. Surely you'd be thinking, we are under the cosh here, right? We're Everton away. We've got 5 minutes to go, 10 minutes to go. Let's see this out. And some of the substitutions, I'm going, okay, Brian Hill, he showed some fight. He showed some determination, some passion. but he's a forward. We're protecting a lead. Like, I don't understand.
I get what you're saying, but for me, I think the substitution was to try and get Tottenham back further up the pitch to relieve us being under all of that pressure. You know, Werner was fading out of the game. You know, for me, I think that's what that
Richie was
substitution
exhausted
is. Fresh
as well.
legs to try and get on the ball and try and get someone to maybe run it and get us further up the pitch. Okay, it didn't work out. But for me, that ain't a substitution to go and get another goal. It's just try and get us further up the pitch to alleviate the pressure and try and sit in Everton's half for a few minutes.
Yeah,
do you know who you want to do that? That's what Johnson's role should be. Coming on when we need an out ball. Yeah, it's him. Yeah, just boot up the wing.
That's where Ange did get it wrong yesterday. Starting Johnson, you should never have started Brennan.
Yeah, it should have been Decky, right? You're playing against.
It's a tight pitch, Goodison Park. You don't have the space to use Johnson's sort of attributes, which is pacing behind. You need
Decky needed to be on that pitch, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Decky's got that fight and that grit to. You think like the one game that always comes to mind of when we literally we were under the cosh, was Luton away. We had 10 men, 45 minutes. It was basically playing as a left wing, right wing striker, but he's got that animal in him. I don't. And the biggest, most annoyingest questioning thing at the moment is the only front other than Son, the only one of our forwards that's going to start every single game at the moment is Richarlison. You don't know which set of forwards is going to play every single week. And I get
that's their fault, not.
And this is what I'm saying. Like,
none of them are performing.
Like right now, the fan base is an absolutely divided down the middle on Brennan Johnson. One week is, you can't say anything about him because he's cute. He's the best looking Welshman we know. The next minute, he's absolutely toilet. Brian Hill, I mean, like, I don't know what's out. I can't stand that guy. And then you look at Timo Werner, who's been here 5 minutes and showing a bigger impact than half of them. Like you just don't. Richarlison's the only one who's actually doing his job to a high standard. Now he's got 10 goals and 3 assists. Like, bearing in mind,
and I'll be honest. Like, did anyone actually? Let me ask the chat this just quickly because I'm going to carry on the conversation. But chat, I want you to be honest here, right? I'm going to take a massive L on this because people that have been watching my channel. I was the anti Richarlison. I wasn't on board it from the get go.
You want a big screen yourself, Sean?
So I'm I'm not putting a big screen on myself, mate. I
said he's scored more than 12 goals and he's only 2 away now.
I'll put a giant L up for me, but I want you to put a W or an L in the chat. There's 550 people here. L or W on whether or not you were backing Richie from the get-go. Be honest. I won't be taking notes. Don't worry. But I just want to see
will. You'll be taking notes about this. This channel member said this, and then you'll be cussing them in 3 weeks' time.
W or L, whether if you lost faith in Richie, if you didn't think he was good enough, and now you feel like you've got to like begrudgingly go fair play. Were you on the L side or were you always behind him? Because listen, I got it at the moment. I was right for 18 months, but I've been wrong now for 18 games. And fair play, like he is holding us together at the top end of the pitch. And I thought I'd never sing that. I thought I would never say that. And it's a bit of an indictment into, obviously my opinion, but also it's a bit of indictment into Tottenham's forward line. We should have more. We should be able to get more from what we have. And if we're going to concede 2 goals every game, which seems like what we're doing at the moment, then we're going to need to find a way to score 3. And we can't rely on Richie to score a hat-trick every week. So we're going to need to look elsewhere. And that's what I want to ask. Yeah, go on, Pete.
Can I say something? It's going to be controversial. I still don't think he's good enough. Now, I'll caveat that with saying at the moment, he's running out of his skin. His work rate is phenomenal. Can't fault it. Effort, determination, phenomenal. Do I think he's still that clinical enough goal scorer that is going to take us places? No. Yeah, because when you look at it, he does miss a hell of a lot of chances. Saturday was the exception. If you give me more of that, then I'll be a believer, because they were 2 clinical, instinctive finishes, top notch. Yeah, but most of his finishes are within sort of the width of the goalpost on the 6-yard line after he's already missed 4 or 5 good chances. Yeah, and he keeps going. I'll give him that. This is not against him personally. As the player, as the man, he runs his nuts off. I never fault his work rate, but I still don't think. Actually,
would you sell him in the summer?
If the right offer came in, yeah. If money came in for him, I would, yeah. Because the end of it is,
you might be able to get your 60 million back. You might be able to get your 60 million back.
Exactly.
If he goes and 15 goals for the rest of the season,
you look at the sample size of his career in the Premier League. Yeah, you've got all the years that played him before, and you've got now. Now he's hitting a purple patch. Yeah, and fair play to him. He's making most of it. Yeah, we'll see how he is at the end of the season if it carries on. But like I said, when you watch the amount of the goals he's got, very scruffy. Before Saturday, they're all sort of scruffy, bobbly, apart from the ones in the air. When he goes through 1-on-1, you don't really have the confidence going. He's gonna stop this. Yeah,
it's kind of like our Darwin Núñez, isn't he? He's scoring, he's contributing, but he's just going from Harry Kane, who literally needs a half chance, who could I mean, the guy is doing absolute wonders in the Bundesliga. And I know people are going to say it's a farmers league, but if Richarlison scores 14, 15 goals this season with 5 or 6 assists, I'm not a huge fan of him, but I don't see how we can sell him. Like if he's on 15 goals, Son's on, say, 14, 15, 16 goals, and a fully fit Maddison gets, 8, 9, 10 with 10 assists, the club will not sell. The club at the moment will ride this wave.
Well, that's what I worry about, right? Because to Pete's point, sorry, go on, Dave. Sorry, mate. I don't want to interrupt you. Go on.
Oh, no, just quick. I think everybody's been incredibly harsh, to be brutally honest. I think, ever since he's come back from his injury, he's played well and he scored goals. I think everyone has to write that period off before he got his surgery and, take him on face value since he's come back. And I think he's been absolutely brilliant.
His highest scoring season is 12 goals.
Look,
if the team wants to win a league.
Look, I'm not sitting here saying he's the answer, but you need 2 strikers at this football club. We can't get back into a situation where you've got one guy like we did with Harry Kane, and then he goes injured for a couple of months.
Oh no, I'm not saying that. No one's saying that.
So for me, you keep him around and you go and double down. You bring someone else in of his level or better. That's going to bag you the 20, 25 goals you need, plus him chipping in on them. The problem is now we don't have enough forwards across the forward line chipping in with the goals. Outside of Son and Richarlison, everyone's doing absolutely nothing. Romero is our joint fourth highest goal scorer. That should tell everything we need to know with 3 goals. The forward line aren't chipping in enough, and Richarlison scores goals. So for me, you keep him and you
have to sacrifice one though. Like someone's got to go. Solomon Hill.
We all know the answer.
Richie, Son.
We all know the answer. Who's got to go? But no one will say it.
Brennan Johnson.
You look at Liverpool.
Got to go.
Gill's gone in the summer.
Yeah. I mean, you look at Liverpool have got Salah, Jota, Gakpo, Núñez, and who's the other one?
Jota, Gakpo, Núñez.
Diaz. Right. They've got 5 forwards who can play anywhere in that front line. We've got a Timo Werner that's now predominantly on the left. Son can play left and right. Richarlison can only really play striker. And Brennan Johnson, let's be honest, there's a few question marks. If Tottenham, like I said to you earlier, Sean, if Tottenham really want to say, look, Klopp's leaving at the end of the season, it's Man City's league next year, I think will probably be the easiest Premier League title they ever win.
Unless they get relegated to the Stone Age.
Which they won't, because we all know deep down there's going to be some sort of dodgy, brown envelopes or whatever. But anyway, the next season, when Tottenham get in the Champions League, we should be going, we want to be the team out of the Chelsea, United, the Arsenals, the Liverpools, out of this pack, because there's big, Man United have got a new owner, Chelsea might have a new manager out of Europe 1 game a week, Liverpool, are they going to get on with that Klopp? I don't think Arteta's got good enough in-game man management to win a league title, but he's a very good coach. We should be sitting there and going, all right, we want to break out of this pack and challenge Manchester City. Ange hasn't come here to get in the top 4. He said that I'm telling them out at press conferences. He wants to win a league. You bring in a number 6 of quality, a goal scorer, not a garage who's done it 1 season or this player or that player. You go and bring in.
Who's the goal scorer then? Everyone wanted Gift Orban. Dave always reminds me that I was celebrating Gift Orban, and I was completely wrong on that one because he's fallen off a cliff and now plays over in France. Right, Santiago Jimenez. I'm a massive fan of Santiago Jimenez, but my recent track record on talent ID in the striker department has been shocking. So don't listen to me.
It's taken 4 months to adjust to the Premier League.
But also, Santiago Jimenez is doing it in the Dutch league. So is Troy Parrott. So we, maybe that's a flash in the pan. We just don't know. Dusan Vlahovic hasn't kicked on.
Hasn't played this season in his career. He's better this season, but he's in a league where Juventus are the best team in the league. You got Ivan Toney, who scored 20 goals last year playing for Brentford. You put him
I'd love
in
Ivan
the number
Toney.
9.
I love Ivan Toney. He's amazing.
It's the closest thing you will get to a Harry Kane. Can hold the ball up, is elite in the air, has unbelievable off-ball movement. He's probably the second best finisher in the league behind, 3rd or 4th behind Salah and Haaland and a few others. But the problem you've got is Brentford are in no position to sell, and they're going to say we want 100 million quid. Tottenham are never going to go and
he hasn't signed a new contract yet, has he?
No, but he's going to say, I want to go. Supply and demand. There's no strikers in the market. Brentford are going to say 100 million, and there's only 2 clubs in the Premier League that will pay that, and that is Liverpool and Arsenal.
Arsenal can't afford to pay that. Arsenal can't pay that.
I don't know. I think
they've got the wriggle room of FFP to pay. They didn't get 100 million for him, are they?
No, but I reckon if we sold 3 or 4 players in the summer, they have
I don't think they've got enough.
Who?
Assets to pay for that.
Who's going to give them combined 100 million quid?
Well, they just got
I'll be honest.
40 million for Balogun, and he's absolutely trash.
But this is why the market's open first. Go and do the business. Most other teams can't, So we know that forward line needs to be sprinkled with.
You got £100 million on Tony.
This is going to be my next point.
But this is also quickly. Just quickly. This is where the Spurs fan base has to learn as well, because despite Harry Kane's contract coming out, there was a large clamour of fans happy to let Harry Kane go. And what shocked me most was the suggestion to replace him was Gift Orban. I'm not having a go at you, Sean. It was more than you that done it. But, we almost took for granted. But we almost took for granted the quality we had in the forward line. Now, I told everybody you're going to be the same people sitting here halfway during the season.
But Dave, no one wanted
to get rid of it. Hang on. Here we are now, looking and talking about the forward line needing more quality. So we have to, the fan base also has to wise up now and grow up a little bit. And realize
I think you're talking about Harry Kane like he had 5 years left on his contract. He had 1 year left on his contract.
What did I say? What did I say? That's not the point. The point was people's replacement was Gift Orban. I told everyone he's never going to come in here and get the goal. So the point is we need to now start demanding quality in that forward line and stop sitting here and clapping Timo Werner and wanting to give Brennan Johnson 3-4 years to get going and be realistic. We're close to reaching being able to go for Premier League title. The only way you do that is add more goals to your forward line. I hear people coming back and clapping back at me going, we're the 3rd highest goal scorers in the league. Okay, we need to be first. How do you do that?
You bring in 1 or 3 players. Do you know who those 3 players are? That take Tottenham to that level. You take advantage of Newcastle's FFP and you chuck them a bundle of cash and you bring in Isak. Unbelievable quality.
That's my man. That's my.
Can play anywhere in the final third, and he's an elite finisher. The second one is you go to that lot in Birmingham or in the Midlands and say, look, you might have Unai Emery. You take away Ollie Watkins. Villa fumble. He has got 21 goal contributions in the league this season, and no one is talking about him. Ollie Watkins can play anywhere in the final third for us, and he's a great finisher. And the last one is Ivan Toney. But what have all 3 of those players got in common? A massive price tag. If Tottenham really want to be elite, Santiago Jimenez will be a good player, but it's going to take 12 months to bed in. And if we have a wobble for 12 months, it will be Levy out, Ange out, Brennan Johnson. It will be toxic as anything. These 3 players are Premier League proven and scoring goals. Ollie Watkins, 10 goals, 11 assists in the league in a pragmatic
two of those players are at clubs that need to sell in the summer.
Take advantage. There's got to be money there. There has to be money.
This is what I'm saying. This is what I was about to say. This is where we'd have to then. This is where this whole Levy master plan, what everyone's been banging on about, and for my opinion, getting overexcited about. This is where it's got to happen now. Because you go, right, all the stars are aligned for him now. The manager's there. Hopefully, the money should be there. The turnover's there. And now the rules are there. The rules that benefit him are there. So now it's time to we need to start throwing our weight around in June, not when these clubs have to sell and go, right, show them some money. Yeah, you go to Newcastle, you stick 50 million under their router and go, smell that. We'll take Isak. Otherwise, you're getting points deduction. Because they haven't got that. That's one of their assets they can liquidate. That's got an attraction. For me, I don't want Ivan Toney. I think he's a great player, but I think there's some real issues about his character that we've been burnt by that before.
With a manager like Ange, I
don't think he'd get on with Ange. I don't think he'd get on with Ange. When you listen to him speak, all his interviews he does.
Yeah, we need that though, Pete. We need someone who's got an ego who can like.
No, it's not about an ego, Emery. For me, when we got done, we did that interview. Is it Steve Bartlett, whatever his name is, the one of Dragons Den? None of it was his fault.
Oh, what? Mr. Gill, whatever his name is.
He took no accountability for his actions whatsoever. It weren't my fault, this, that, and the other. And for me, that was a real red flag for me. And every time I've heard him speak since, it's been similar. Yeah, he's very slippery. I don't think he's got the character to suit Ange, to be honest. And he's a great player, but I don't think he's
so if it's not him, Would you take?
I'd go for
Watkins
Isak.
or
I'd go for
Isak?
Isak. Isak. I think Isak is a great finisher. He's got an arrogance about him that I like.
He's
Like
class.
confidence. He's skillful. He's quick. And I think
And he can play off the left as well, right? He can play off the
And
left.
he's
put
got
him
22, 23 years
exactly.
of age.
If you put him in our forward line,
Yeah,
he
hang
bags.
on.
He's easily getting
Neto
20,
on the
25. The
right.
amount of chances there.
You break the bank.
100%,
You've got
yeah.
Neto on the right, Isak and Son, and now you think teams are thinking.
You're laughing because
You
all
go,
three of
"Oh,
them.
You want Neto and Isak.
I've been
Fucking
banging
hell,
the
I
drum
want
about
a lot,
Neto
mate.
for 3
Yeah.
years.
You can't have both in the same
Ditto.
summer, can you?
Well, that depends on the level of like commitment.
This is where we got to start swinging our balls around and going, right, here we go. We really should be the big fish this summer because we should have the money. We've got the
Get your
FFP
Hampton out on
with
the
them.
table. Say,
None
look,
of these
I'm
got
serious.
going. This is where you get real bargains. Yeah, in June when they've got to sell to balance their books. Yeah, otherwise they're going to be in trouble. Even if they're not in this trouble this year, they might be next year. You say, well, you either take the money now or we're going to go to another target. And then they got, because who's going to be around the following year to spend the money? Because it ain't going to be Chelsea, because they're going to be in big trouble. Newcastle will keep getting in big trouble because they can't grow their revenue stream quick enough to facilitate what they want to spend.
You haven't got to go and even choose the big clubs, Pete. Like,
no, you could go. There's players there. There's plenty of players there. Even Villa, Douglas Luiz, the midfielder, he's quality.
I was banging the drum in the summer about this
For me,
guy.
he is the midfielder that our fans think Bentancur is. Yeah, he is the midfielder. Yeah, he's mustard, right? You got all these opportunities now because these teams, they can't just say, well, we'll keep him for another year. They have to sell. They have to sell or they're in trouble. Yeah, so that's when you've got to go, right, get your money out. And when they see the readies, they'll go, okay, well, it's a buyer's market in June. Yeah. It's not a seller's market, it's a buyer's market. It didn't happen this month because they still got the rest of the year to keep the player, finish the season, then sell him in June, and then they got the whole summer to work out what they do next. This is where Levy, if we don't start doing it in June, we'll never do it. Okay, then the whole this Levy master plan, the FFP, great, let's celebrate, is going to fall apart because you're like, well, when are you going to do it? Yeah, when are you going to do it? In my opinion, they should be drawing out of a 50 million that has not been drawn yet. And ENIC really should be, now they can't play Monopoly up Tottenham High Road because the council sorted that. Their next strategy should be to invest in the team, to grow its value, and then they can hopefully achieve a more an exit sale, which is their game plan anyway, because they don't make any money. Forget what people think. They don't take money out of the club. The only way they get money out of the club, apart from Levy's salary as ENIC in general, is to sell it. So, or attract some investment where they bank that money anyway.
Do you know what as well was worth talking about? And I know this is a little bit PR and a little bit like childish. You should get Kulusevski and this new Swedish guy on a blower to Isak and say, look, forget the Welsh mafia. Like, we got some unreal talent here. I honestly believe you put Isak in our team next
Swedish
season.
swagger. Get rid of the Welsh mafia, bring in the Swedish swagger,
You bring in Isak in that front three with Son, players like Richarlison and Maddison. I think we are the only thing that Arsenal have got over us right now is they have got that 6 in Rice. And they've got wide players that score goals. You put Isak, like I think Maddison and Odegaard. I think personally I choose Maddison. I think Odegaard goes missing a lot of big games. The centre backs, I think we've got more depth now. We've got Dragusin. I think if I know they've got Timber, but he's apparently going to be the left back replacement. They haven't got a great amount of depth in centre back. But you throw Isak into the mix, an actual killer who can finish in front of goal. I think that closes the gap massively. Like
there is one more player as well. Sorry, Emery. There is one more player I think goes under the radar, and I think he's a very good striker. That's Hwang at Wolves as well, the Korean lad.
Yeah,
I think he's a very good finisher,
and he can play on the left and the right as well.
10 11 goals this year. You see what I mean? But what I'm saying, that legacy. If you're thinking you're Daniel Levy, right? That career market's making bundles for the club. Yeah, after Son retires or starts joining, this boy will be the next poster boy for Korean football. You get him in as well. So not only did he score goals, I think he scored like 10, 11 this year before he went to the thing. So he was up there. He's obviously, you got his marketable value as well in terms of what Levy's thinking. Right, that's a commercial asset. That carries that market on even further because he's a good player as well. He's a very tidy finisher. Even Pep Guardiola points him out.
And that Cunha as well at Wolves. I know he's got
good players there.
He's a great player and all.
There's good players out there that we can get if we swing our bat enough.
It's not just a striker we need, though, as well. We need wingers. Apart from Sonny, there's no winger that really gets you out your seat. You know, no one that provides the opportunities, that rips their fullbacks apart, that, you know, creates a good opportunity for our strikers. You know, you look at even a lot of Richarlison's goals, right? He's had to work hard for them. He's had to go in and sort of win headers. He's had a pop shot from outside the box, but we haven't really actually created any sort of real clear-cut chances. I know the first one he did against Everton, but we don't do that on a consistent enough basis. So also out wide is also a problem as well as another striker to come in here and compete with Richarlison.
Yeah, I agree, Dave. We don't have none of our wide players are killers. Them players
Are
that
we
get in the
guilty
box
though?
and
Just to
they
play-
want to put it in the far corner. They want to beat their man and get a shot off. Because really, your front three, they should all be scoring goals, not your days where your striker and he just the two wide men supply him all year long. Them days are gone. Your wire players have to be chipping in with at least 10, 15 goals every season. There's got to be a balance across the front three rather than just one man's responsibility. Like Pedro Neto is one lad, he gets in the box. His main instinct is to find the net. We need players like that. You look at Salah, he's not a striker. He gets in the box, wants to find the net. Yeah, we need them killers. Yeah, I agree. We have no player. I think the last player we really had that got you out your seat when he was running was Gareth Bale. Before that, Aaron Lennon. Aaron Lennon weren't the greatest crosser, but when he got up, when he had the ball, you stood up because you knew something was going to happen. Gareth Bale was a different level. But I agree, we need that player that's going to get in the box and just kill it, absolutely kill it, or at least make an attempt to. I think the wingers at the moment, and I include Kulu in this, are quite flaky when they get in the box. Kulu's got the technical ability to be better than he is because he should be looking to get in and then bend it in that far corner more often than he does. Quite often it's the easy option, I'll just pass it off, and it gets frustrating. You think you can do it. You've got a wonderful left foot most of the time. Have a go. Yeah, have a go. And that's the mentality we miss in our forward. Look at Saka, he gets in. He ain't looking to set up no one. He wants to get in and he's trying to score himself. Martinelli the same. We need players with that mentality. Them wide men who get in and want to kill it. Yeah, beat the man, find the far corner. Son used to do it. Yeah, Son, you take the man on, you go left foot, right foot, wherever he wants to go, bosh, in it, and it's in the net. That's what
it's
we
almost
need.
like we want to score the perfect team goal. Like we just try and pass.
We want to walk it in the net, yeah, all the time, and it gets frustrating. And that's when we're playing this system where we sort of commit quite often. And as Dave says, quite often we fanny about a bit along the box, trying to do that, and then we get caught. Yeah, and that's when we don't have the lethal front three to be this.
So you guys are advocating for like wholesale changes in the front three.
Oh no, I'm not saying I'm not advocating for wholesale changes.
I am.
Well,
you need a squad. You need a squad of quality players.
No,
you need a front.
I get what you're saying, but I think you keep Son. I think you keep Richarlison.
Yeah, I'm not saying
get rid of him, but you have to add to that. You know, I'm
talking about
competition for Richarlison, adding competition.
So who's sacrificial then? Timo Werner's on loan. We'll see how he does. Too early to tell. Brennan Johnson's on a 5-year contract. So it sounds like all three of you would advocate if you not that it will happen because he's just got here, but you'd advocate getting rid of him. Man or Solomon. Would you sell Kulusevski's just signed a permanent contract? And I know all three of them are guilty. Like there's more cutbacks than a family who sleep on a bed of nails. It's madness, right? It's incredibly frustrating. But
Jesus Christ,
where'd you get that from? He's waiting to use that all week, isn't he?
Yeah. But no, I just feel like there needs to be I think there needs to be changes, but I don't know how realistic they are because we've committed to these players. If you sign Timo Werner, for example, if you do go and do a 15 million quid job on him and you sign him on a 4-year contract, the front line is relatively new.
Brian Hill's one. Like Brian Hill, in my opinion, should be gone in the summer.
He'll go.
He doesn't have the physicality. I don't think he's physical enough to play in this league. He's got a bit of an animal in him, but Solomon, another one. The club will make profit on Solomon because it was a free transfer. I don't think he will ever get game time, a consistent amount of game time in the squad to see what he's really like because he's in the games we have seen him in. I don't think he plays on that left, unfortunately. So unless Son plays striker, which he's not going to because Richarlison's scoring goals, he's not going to get any game time. So if Brian Hill and the likes of Brian Hill, I think Dane Scarlett, another one.
It's not going to happen. If it ain't happened now, it's never going to happen.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Dane Scarlett and Troy Parrott. One of them will go in the summer, whether it's Dane Scarlett or Troy Parrott, which will be 100% going against FFP because it will be an academy player being sold from the club. So if let's say hypothetically, if Troy Parrott, Solomon, and Brian Hill all go, that's 3 forwards spaces at Tottenham. If you was to throw in a winger and a striker of quality, let's say you spend 80 million quid, we're in a completely different space. Plus, you've got to remember, Undon Bele, if that guy is not sold he's 200 grand off the wage bill in the summer. We've got to be asking serious questions now because this guy, I mean, he looks like he's put on about 18 stone playing for Galatasaray. Then the likes of Giovanni Lo Celso will go. What's going to happen with Joe Rodon? If Leeds come up into the Premiership, is he going to go there? Like Jed Spence, there's a lot of players that have got just not at the level, but there's question marks. We can't do it all in one window.
I think a lot of those.
We've been trying to sell some of these for years. It's like every year we put them in a shop window, and every year we manage to keep bringing them back. Yeah, but in regards to the space in the squad, you want 4 or 5 players all competing for the free shirts, not everyone, not home bankers where they turn up, they're guaranteed week in, week out, because all that does is that just breeds complacency, yeah, which will settle in. You want them all competing, yeah, because then if we do get in the Champions League and all that, you need to rotate players. So what we have to get away from, which what happens now, is we have a first 11 player, and then the drop off on the next player is massive, and we're dreading when these players come in. That's what we got to fix, yeah. That's where we've got to close that gap. So then you do have that sort of. You might not get as good as the one that's going to start, but the drop-off should be minimal, if not none at all, not massive. Do you know what I mean? That's what's got to be fixed, because that don't help Ange. No way whatsoever. He has to do that, and we're dreading it when we think, oh, Højbjerg's got to play or Skip's got to play. We're dreading it, and it can't be like that. Yeah, there's got to be that drop-off in squad depth has to be closed, and you do that by buying better players. It's getting there, but there's still work to do. Let's say we've got all these question marks. Some of these and Ndombele was bought when Poch was here. Do you know what I mean? We've had 4 managers since then. Yeah, we've got to clear the decks of these players.
That guy's not going anywhere, mate. He's running his contract down all the way. He'll be here until Ndombele's going to be here until next.
Just get rid of just release him. Just release him, because you know no one's going to buy him. I'm not being funny.
Why would you do that? That's 15 million quid or 10 million quid by the summer's worth of wages. You're not
an extra space
because you're going to. Sean, you're
just loan him out again. You might as well loan him out.
Sean, he wouldn't get a.
I'm not sure you'd be able to loan him out this time around.
You don't reckon anyone will take him?
I'm not quite sure. He's been overfit for the majority of the season at Galatasaray. You know, they haven't been happy with him, and the fans are going mad about him. And you just type in on Twitter, look at the images of him from the last couple of games. You know, he's way off the pace. He's completely overweight. You go and look at an image of him from when he was at Tottenham compared to now. And I'm not a person to talk about anybody being overweight, but I'm not being paid 200 grand a week as an extreme athlete. So I'm pretty sure you don't have an excuse. He doesn't. There's no excuse, and that's been a problem throughout his career. And you know, he's had a number of loan moves now where it hasn't worked out. Who's going to take that next gamble?
Someone will take him if there's no. Someone will take him if there's no.
The only Turkish he's learned is chili sauce salad, the Turkish equivalent for that. Yeah, because that's all he's done is stuff his face while he's been. Yes, boss. Yeah, that's all. Because let's be honest, if you put on the telly the other day, if you put on the telly when you saw him the other day, you thought he was watching Soccer Aid. You think, who's that? Yeah, because he was massive. He's like the Michelin Man. Yeah, who's gonna pay for that? No one's gonna pay for that. He's gonna get past the medical. He'd break the treadmill. Yeah, so you just got to release him and go. Do you know what? Cut our losses, because we can't keep having him coming back every year, because every time these players keep coming back, there's always a risk you can't loan them out. So then we can't then get another player in. So you know you're never going to get any money for him. Just come to some mutual arrangement, and that means paying him all off. Then fine, just get rid of him, because you're never getting the money back. So what's the point? You just keep. And when we loan him out, we have to pay half his wages anyway. Yeah.
So the 3 players that we need to get rid of immediately.
Get rid of him.
Is Ndombele, Jed Spence, and Brian Hill for me. They are the 3 that go ASAP. Because Brian Hill, I just don't see what the guy does. People will say that's harsh. He's never really been given a chance, but I don't see it. Ndombele now, I mean, 200 grand a week. We signed him for what, close to 60 million euros? We probably paid him close to 60 million euros in wages. So you get a £120 million deal. Like, and Jed Spence, I know there's rumours about an attitude, but the guy had one good game against Arsenal in the FA Cup, so we decided to sign him.
I mean, he can't even get a game, let alone want to buy him. No one wants to give him a game, let alone buy him. Do you know what I mean? Again, this is poor recruitment. Again, because like I was saying with Tony, we looked at the player before, and we didn't look at the character, and that's the why I would have reservations about Tony for the same reason. Because sometimes just don't work with the character of the people. But we have to clear. Reguilon's been bouncing around for how long? Do you know what I mean? These players keep coming back and going, and it's an endless thing.
Like Japhet Tanganga. Like,
Yeah.
Jesus
At the moment,
Christ.
he's homegrown, so that's probably less than we'll get rid of him because he helps the homegrown quota out. But these people can't even get games anywhere. Like I said, there's no way, Sean, no one's buying a Domley like that. Unless he goes on Atkins diet between now and the end of the season.
1,000,000%. I'm not saying we'll sell him. I'm just saying if you could find someone who wants to take him and pay 20 grand of his 200 grand, then that's £1 million of the 10 million you owe him paid for by someone else. Like, even if you loan him out for last year and you pay 80-90% of his wages, you're still making a little bit. If you spin him now and you tear up his contract, that's 10 million quid of the cash flow that is occupied paying off a donut. And I just don't see Daniel Levy doing it. He didn't do it. The only reason he did it for Matt Doherty was because they made a mistake. Oh, they didn't realise the loan numbers, right?
They ballsed it up. Yeah.
They did it for Serge Aurier as well.
Yeah. But there's got to be a time where you just go, you know what, this needs to stop now. Yeah, this needs to stop. Every year it's just the same old stuff. We hear it, and then we hear the first one. We've got to get rid of players before we can bring them in. We're talking 5 or 6 players on our books, that we have to get rid of before we can every year, and we don't. All we do is temporarily get rid of them, and they come back. So the situation is never resolved, and we can never actually move forward as a squad. While there's always a risk of these muppets coming back.
So do we think then? Dave, I'll start with this one, mate. Do you think that? So we've talked about the forward line. Let's talk about the midfield, because I personally think that when people are worried about the defense, I always say this. I think you need to kind of reverse engineer where a lot of the problems start, and our system obviously promotes a lot of like high line and a lot of inversion and all this stuff. But I think obviously sloppiness leads to transitions, which leads to massive opportunities against. And I think a lot of that is not the fault of the defenders. I think the defenders are doing their utmost to get back, but they're unnecessarily put into difficult situations. The set pieces aside, I think the set pieces need to be a lot better. But in terms of the in-play stuff, I think the midfield is a problem. And Henry spoke about this at the top of the show. He thinks, and I completely agree with him, that we're missing a specific 6. I was talking about this all last summer, right? I was like, I think we need a monster number 6. I think we need to go down Clapham High Street on a Friday night and find a monster 6 out of 10. And I think that there's lots out there, but Tottenham don't have one. I don't think Bentancur has the monster mentality of a 6. I think he's got a great passing range, but he's inconsistent. But I don't think he has the dispossession skills of a 6. Bissouma started the season well in the 6, Dave, but I don't necessarily know if he's the right guy. And I'd like to see him in the 8 in this system. Pap Sarr, brilliant movement, brilliant. I think you need him in the 8 because of his ability to get across the pitch. I don't know whether the answer is to only invert one of the fullbacks and then go and make it a double pivot, or if you're going to stick with this double inversion thing and have a single pivot, then I think we need a better 6. I don't know who the specific answer is. People in the chat have been saying Polinia. Dave, let me know what your thoughts are on the midfield. Do we have enough 8s but not enough 6s? What's your thoughts on the midfield at the moment?
Look, first of all, when Papa Matsar came on yesterday, look how much control we had we got control of that midfield for a period of time. He was absolutely brilliant when he came on. For me, I think when you look at the 6, I think you can play Bissouma or Bentancur there as guys if the game requires against a low block team for you to get on the ball, and progress into the forward line. But what I think we miss is that guy that you want to come on and just break up play in that role. It's about having the different sort of options available to you. We don't have that guy currently, and I think that's what we miss. What you're looking for is someone that's a destroyer. But nowadays, in my day growing up, you'd be able to get a destroyer and a player that could play all in one. But nowadays, it seems to be your one or the other. So for me, it's about going out and getting that so that in tight games against Everton, you can bring them off the bench and put them in there. Yesterday, we took off Højbjerg, brought on Dragusin, and it's sort of like, for me, if you're going to take off Højbjerg, you bring on a destroyer that has fresh legs to get around and just, try and win the ball back. So I think what we need is a different option there for sure. I'd argue we need someone else that does what Papa Matsar does. No one else does that. He gets a lot of credit for his work out of possession and off the ball, but he's also very good on the ball. He very rarely loses the ball when he gets it. Skip is nowhere near that level, out of possession or in possession. So you need someone else there. Maddison, you've got Lo Celso as his backup, but what good is Giovanni Lo Celso when he's never fit? I think he's played 2 games out of the period that Maddison was injured, and that was his chance to shine. So you're going to have to shift him off the books. My feeling is you might see Alfie Devine come back in here in the summer and be his understudy. I'm not sure we will go out and spend on another creative midfielder like that. I think Alfie Devine might be that answer. At Plymouth, he seems to be playing in that role behind the striker in it too. And I think that's probably gearing him ready, and he might come in here and be that for Maddison. But for me, you need a different option to a Basuma or a Bentancur in the deeper role. That is more of an expert tackler, like what a Kante was or something like that. Or,
right.
you know, and then you need someone else that can sort of give you what Papa Matasar gives you as well, because they're two things that are killing us. Late in the game, what you really want is someone that's going to come on, just get around, turn ball over, and if you can't, pull things down so that you give your team a chance to get back. We don't have anyone that's smart enough to do that. Donnelly done it there the other day against Brentford. It's the first time I've seen someone do that in ages near the final whistle, pull someone down so that we can get everyone back behind the ball. And then you just need someone else that can do what Papa Matasar does, that's technically good enough, but can also have an engine to roam around and sort of disrupt things.
But you don't think Pap can be in the 6, right?
Huh?
You don't think Pap can be the 6?
I suppose you could, but then you need someone else for that number 8 role, because everyone's looking for a ball player in that number 8 role, but you won't get away with it. You need someone that works hard, that can cover the distance and stop counterattacks and turn ball over in the opposition half, which helps that, like Papa Matasar does, because of where you're
start an 8, mate.
The reason why Maddison gets away with being creative on the other side is because Adoji makes inverted runs, but he doesn't play inverted as a sort of centre midfielder, so he can get back and cover that side. So you get away with having Maddison there, but you will not with Porro because of what we're asking him to do.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think that Pape Sarr is the 6. This is the thing. Skippy's not good enough on the ball, and yeah, the best part of Skippy's game is when we're chasing the ball back, when we're like we've lost the ball at the pitch and everyone's sprinting one direction. He's fairly good at getting back and slide tackling, but he's not good enough on the ball. Højbjerg loses the ball too often under pressure. Bissouma for the first 10 games was press resistant, but I don't think he is of all of them. I'd say he is probably the most natural 6 in that he doesn't mind crunching people and stuff, but his discipline is an issue. His timing of his tackles can be problematic. So I don't think there's anybody else there that can do it. I mean, Henry, Henry, I'll come to you, then I'll come to Pete. What's the because I think you're right, mate. I think that the 6 we do need to go.
Massive problem for us. It's a massive problem for us. We need someone to just sit there and sweep up, and has got decent passing range. We don't really have anyone who's got the energy levels to play that role, who can read the game. If you look at Rodri, for instance, you look at Rodri's heat map, he's the best DM I've seen in the Premier League for a long, long, long time, because he's excellent, world class at reading the game.
Yeah.
You know, and when he reads the game, and then he wins the ball back and immediately starts the attack, and often contributes with big, important goals. You look at the Champions League final, who scores the goal against Inter Milan? Rodri does. We and I'm not saying that going out there and getting a Rodri, you're looking at well over £100 million to get a player like that. Skip's not the guy for me to play the 6. Sarr's, for me, out of all of them, he's got a lot of the traits to do it, but I don't think his reading of the game is as good as what we need in the 6. I think he's better when he's running at other teams.
He doesn't crunch people either, does he? He doesn't sort of like lean in and just.
No, he doesn't. Like he likes to pick pockets and things. The type for me that when we're struggling in the game, he's going to go and take someone out. Like, take one for it. He's not that sort of. Nice. He's a better number 8. Same as Bentancur, same as Bissouma. I was banging the drum, and I know I'm going to get pelters for this, but for the remainder of the season, I think we missed out on Calvin Phillips. And I know he's been bad for West Ham, right? But in this system, he would be a very, very good number 6. He was excellent at Leeds. He was really, really part of the reason why City signed him. The only problem is you got Rodri sitting in front of you and you're never going to get any game time. He's got good energy, he can read the game, he can tackle, and he's got great passing range. And for a loan fee of about 4 or 5 million quid for the remainder of the season, and you had the options of playing a Bissouma, Sarr, or Bentancur in the 8.
If he'd started the way that he started for West Ham, giving away 2 goals in 2 games,
I don't think he would, though.
Fans would have absolutely destroyed him.
I don't think he would, because Ange's man management is completely better than David Moyes. David Moyes, if you're not going well, he throws you under the bus. Ange will put up bubble wrap, cotton wool around you so that you're not getting any pelters. Look at Johnson right now. There's not a bad word from. That's Conte. Johnson is getting steamrolled, Tokyo drift around that stadium by Conte. Andrew won't say a word. He protects his players. And I think a Calvin Phillips for the remainder of the season, until we go out and get a Zubimendi or there's links to a Kimmich or whoever it's got to be, it's one of the 3 positions we need, and it's going to be big, big, big money. To get like Liverpool need a 6. Thiago hasn't got the legs anymore. Endo's done better than we thought, but they're in the market for a 6. Chelsea, for me, still need a 6. There's this narrative now that Declan Rice is going to be the 8 and Arsenal are going to go get a 6 because Partey's going. They're going to need a 6. It's not an easy market, which is why I think Calvin Phillips on a loan for the remainder of the season for $5 million loan fee, you probably could have picked him up for 30 mil, plus he's homegrown. Like, I think we missed out on one there. And I know he's going to get pelters saying that he's trash because he hasn't started well at West Ham. But for me, the Zubimendi would be... Is it Zubimendi the guy at Sociedad?
Yeah.
Yeah, he would be... But if Sociedad get in the Champions League, I don't see him leaving.
He's more of a double pivot specialist. I mean, I love Zubimendi.
We can play a double pivot, though. We play that.
We kind of do, which is one of the points I made at the start. Like, I don't necessarily know if we always need to do this double inversion thing. I think sometimes I love it. Don't get me wrong. When it works, it's absolutely phenomenal. But when it doesn't, and you give away a sloppy pass, and when you're playing at 100 miles an hour, let's be honest. Like my favorite player at Tottenham, Pete, I'll come to you, mate, is Pedro Porro. Right? I absolutely adore the guy. I think he's an absolute tenacious.
I think you spoke to him for about 3 seconds.
Oh, I told you about that. Have I told you? Listen, I'm a massive fan of him, but I don't know whether it's this 100 miles an hour. Like when we get the ball, we've got to do everything really super quick, like we're on, cocaine or whatever. Everyone's like flying forward. But I just wonder whether or not, some of that, some of the turnovers over the last couple of games. I think he only had a 73% pass accuracy in the last game, and I think it wasn't much better against Brentford either. So. Pete, I'll come to you. Like, what's your thoughts on the kind of on the holding player in the 6, and would you go for someone who plays more in a double pivot if you then relieved one of the fullbacks from coming inverted? What's your thoughts on that whole thing?
First thing on Porro, I think he's been the player of the season for us.
Yeah,
consistent for his consistency all season. If Van der Ven and Maddison would have not got injured, then it would be one of them two most probably. But from the players that have played all season, Porro's been excellent. He's been brilliant, and I really rate him. I think he's grown into his role very, very well. I think your answer is, as I said before, I think you go and get Douglas Luiz. You take advantage of Villa's problems, because the number 6, it can't just be someone who kicks the shit out of everyone. It's got to be someone who can play the ball, who can take the ball off the back 4, turn out, and then and then start the attack like Rodri does. That's your template. You got to find a player as close to that who does as much as he does as you can get. Yeah, the only one I've seen so far. I mean, me personally, I prefer to buy Premier League proven players because you've seen him, know what you're going to get. The whole settling in period and all that is null and void because they've already done it. So that's my personal preference. So for me, you go and get him. Sarr is more of I sort of compare, not as good, but like a Kante type player who just covers grass. He gets around the whole pitch. He's got an engine on him. Yeah, you need that as well. But as I go back to it, it's not about who's going to start every game. You need that squad. You need that variation for different opponents and different places, especially if you're going to go away in the Champions League. You need that variation in your squad to go, right, we can't be as gung-ho today because we're going away to Real Madrid or something like that. Do you know what I mean? We need to have someone there who's going to mop stuff up. But my first choice is go and get Douglas Luiz. Villa got problems. Yeah. Chelsea's, Arsenal's can't take advantage of their problems. We can. So go and do it. Yeah, this is where the killer instinct from the owners or the people who do transfers has to then come in and go, right, let's have it. It's going to go back to that. This is the crunch time for me for all this. Because if you can't get these players now, you'll never get them. Because once they've solved their problems, they're gone. Yeah, it's gone to whistle the wind. So
do you think
3 or 4 clubs?
Sorry, mate. Just let me extend the question to you, mate. Do you think if you're looking at Aston Villa, because for the last sort of 15, 20 minutes of the show, I do want to talk about this, like what's going to happen in the summer, FFP and stuff. So I'll start with you on this with Aston Villa. They do look like a team that Emery's already said that they need to sell in the summer. Do you think they would be more inclined to sell a Douglas Luiz than they would a Diaby or a Watkins or who's the Jamaican fella who plays on the right wing?
Leon Bailey.
Leon Bailey. I think he's class as well, Leon Bailey. Do you think they'd be more inclined to sell Luis than one of their
Potentially,
kind of...
you don't want to sell a goal scorer, do you? That's the first. That's the last. They're going to hang on to Ollie Watkins by his coattails. But at the end of the day, the money's right. The money's right. Depends on what happens. But for me, I think, can they live without him? They probably could. Yeah. Will they be as good? No. But then that's their problem to worry about. But I think someone's got to go. We've got to go raiding somewhere. So why not go there? Because they've admitted it. They have to sell a player. I could be wrong, but is he homegrown? Because he's been. I know he's not English by name,
Who?
but Douglas Luiz. Does he count as homegrown?
Yeah,
I'm sure I've read that somewhere before.
Come out of City's
come out of
academy.
That's it. So there you go. You've got that in the bag.
I'm pretty sure he is. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure.
I've heard that before. I'm pretty sure he's homegrown. Yeah?
It's like we'll have Sarr as homegrown next season, and Arsenal will have Saliba as homegrown.
So that solves another problem, because that's a problem that's coming round the corner if we don't deal with that. That will come to bite us, and we'll be like, we can't do nothing now because we ain't got enough homegrown players. Hence why we'll have to keep Sessegnon and Skips and all the rest of it. So trying to get the players and ticking the homegrown box is an added bonus. So for me, you go and raid these clubs. The whole point of everything Levy is planning to.
Homegrown.
He doesn't.
He doesn't.
No, Villa's homegrown players, according to this list, are Tyrone Mings, Konza, Cash, Watkins, Martinez, Chambers, and Ramsey.
Okay.
Could be wrong, but that's the list I'm looking at.
I think it was Konza. I knew one of them players was. It might have been him. But yeah, I think you go and get Douglas Luiz still. I think he's got everything that we want in a player, and he will fit in our squad very well, because he's got something that the others just don't have.
So here's another one though. Like, he's not an out six though. Like, he has got something we haven't got. Like, I think he's a very, very good player. I was one of the ones that was banging the drum back in the summer, and everyone was giving me pelters. Oh, he's trash. You know, he can't play for us. I think that we if we have a limited budget, or if we're going to go and spend big money, I think Douglas Luiz, even if Villa have got financial problems, Arsenal have been interested in for like 3 seasons. I think he's still going to be 40 mil, even with the FFP problems.
Yeah, but that should be nothing for us, should it? Let's be honest. We should have that to spend on that.
Yeah, this is the thing. This summer, for me, it will sell if we're serious or not. If we go out and drop 150, 200 million quid and get, let's say, hypothetically, an Isak or a Tony or a Watkins, and then you bring in a Zubimendi or a Luis or another midfielder, I still think we need another defender. I think we need a fullback that can play both left and right back, because I think the cover, if the doggy gets injured, and I know people are saying you can play Van de Ven there, or you potentially could play Davis. I don't think either of those are anywhere near the level Udogie is in the final third. And
Udogie's fantastic when he gets running with the ball. But there is, I don't know if, look, for me, what I would say, right, is that we're conceding more goals now over the last, whatever it is, 10 games. 20, what was it? Something like 23 goals conceded in the last 11 games or something, over 2 goals per game.
We've had more expected XG go against us in the last 10 games, I think, than any team in the league other than Sheffield United.
And yet most people would say our back 4 or 5 is combined top 2 or 3 in the league, right?
System.
Yeah.
It is though. Like, look. Let's be fair. Put some context on it. Porro, Doji, Romero, and Van de Ven have only played 2 to 3 of them games. The rest of them has been Emerson and Davies as a centre back partnership and stuff like that. So, that's why I keep going back to the squad. You improve the squad, you don't see as much of a drop off every single season.
Do you not think though, if the defensive line was 10 yards deeper, 30% of those goals,
5 yards deeper.
Let's say 5 yards deeper, then I think a good percentage of those goals don't happen. A very good percentage.
Can I also add a point why this summer is really important? Because for me, when you watch Van de Ven, you think, if I'm Pep Guardiola, I'm licking my lips looking at him, because he think that'll do me. Yeah, because he's everything I'd want in a centre back. So if we're not careful when show ambition, we will lose him, because he
same as Porro.
Yeah, all these players. Yeah, these players will go. So we have to stop that happening again, like we've done before, where players.
The problem is though, you can't go and pin everyone down to 6-year contracts in one window.
No, you can't. And they won't fall for it either. And it's not in their interest to do it. But I'm saying you got to convince them with what's happening at the club. Do you know what I mean? Because they've watched the best player leave the club because of the lack of ambition. We cannot allow that to happen again.
What we've done
we
as well
have to then
we
have to back this manager.
Go on.
Yeah. No, we have to back this manager and convince the players, because they will reach a certain point in their star quality, and it's coming very quickly, that the other clubs, once they've sorted out their FFP problems, like if Man City, they're probably going to lay low until they get their issues sorted out, and then once they're in the clear, out will come the checkbook, and they will start going for people, because they got to keep, and Pep always keeps refreshing his squad all the time, and Van der Ven is an ideal candidate because there is not a centre back in Europe with that sort of pace. Because you can play a high line knowing full well he will get you out of trouble. Exactly, and it's a worry. Because I'm watching that and I'm thinking, as good as he is, other people watching this kid. So he's got age on his side. Do you know what I mean? So we want to be convincing him to stay at this club for the next 10 years. So you only do that by building the team around them and having a quality squad, so that we are competing on all fronts and trying to win stuff, and hopefully winning stuff. Because otherwise, we'll just end up back where, in 2 years, we'll be like, who are we gonna get for Van der Ven? Because he'd be on a golf course with Gary Neville in a couple of summers. Do you know what I mean? Before the end of the season and all that, and then we'll be back to square one again.
We're back sort of where we were under Pochettino. You know, we still have a couple more steps to take to get to where we were under Pochettino, where we're challenging. I think that'll probably happen next season. But after Pochettino and the signs after Champions League final and things were dropping off, and the signs were there in the league that season, a lot of our best players then started to sort of, look for exits and stuff like that. So, the warning signs are there. The only way of doing that for me, though, is sprinkling what we're at now with one or two sort of real quality signings, Speaking on the FFP though, Shawnee, this summer, that tells me this is a homegrown market for us. We've got one of the worst homegrown sort of squad registrations in the league. It's made up by bits and pieces. Dragerson qualifies this season, but next season then he doesn't. So we've got a problem in that regard. So I think with the financial fair play, that's where we have to finally sort out the homegrown situation at the club. So I will say to fans, I get what everyone wants, but there is an element that we will have to shop in that homegrown market. And I just hope we go after it a lot better than what we did, bringing Brennan Johnson in here. But saying that, we do have some European spots available currently in the squad because of a lot of the loan deals that we've done, with Eric Dyer and Perisic and stuff like that. So, we can still hit that European market as well. But, it's not all going to be from the European market. We will have to take some players that are homegrown.
Do you know one thing I want to add as well? And just done great things in persuading players to join Tottenham over other clubs. And I guess you could say not as well-known players like Dragusin and Bergwall. Timo Werner was known, but it was kind of, I've got a point to prove coming to Tottenham. What will be the talking point is, a big talking point and a big question mark is, if Arsenal and Chelsea are going for, let's say Arsenal, Chelsea and Tottenham are going in for Isak, what position are we going to be in to present the project or the process or the progress, whatever you want to say, for Isak to choose Tottenham over Arsenal and Chelsea? The day that happens is the day we will be like, okay, we're flipping serious right now. Because if Isak looks at Chelsea and Arsenal and think, hang on, Chelsea won 25 trophies in the last 20 years. I know they're in a bit of a turmoil, but this season they're in a final. And they go, hang on, Arsenal are competing for a league title. What if Tottenham have that those other two clubs have is where Ange and the club and the recruitment. That's when we'll see, right? Like if we sign those over, Tony or Watkins or Isak or Zubimendi or whatever it is over the big boys, that's when we officially go, right, we're all in now.
To me, I just think it's like in the summer, if he drops, we spoke about this at the start, right? If we need two of those 3 or 4 strikers or forwards we spoke about, and we need a 6, and we need a left back in order to, and maybe even a replacement goalkeeper. And I think that position, I've said it before, it's just like an insurance policy. It's important to have, because if you were to lose Vicario to a red card or to a to a bad injury or something, then like I say, I think the whole Angeball played out of the back. Triangle start with the goalkeeper. I'm not sure Fraser Foster inspires me, so I think you need to go and do something there potentially. That's 4 or 5 players to kind of finish off the squad to give Ange what he needs. And 4 or 5 players isn't that much. In terms of valuation, it might be 200 million quid's worth of worth of spend. And if that happens in some dream world scenario where where Daniel Levy goes, all right, then here's what you need: 200 million quid in the summer, 180 million quid, whatever it is, something crazy like that. Then Ange will have had about, as we were speaking about this earlier, Henry, about over 400 million quid's worth of money spent on him.
Yeah, no one can say that Ange, no one can then blame Levy if he drops 250 million in the next 2 transfer windows.
Especially if the players we sign are Ange's decisions, not...
Yep. And I know the narrative is going to be that you've got to spend that amount of money to replace Harry Kane. I get that. But on face value, if Tottenham go out and drop 500 million quid in 5 transfer windows or 4 transfer windows, no one can then say...
It'll be 3 transfer windows, won't it?
On 3 transfer windows. No one can say Postecoglou is not being backed. Because I, for the first time, I know me and Pete and Dave and Sean have all said different things about the ownership in the last couple of years. But for the first time in a long, long time, you can actually see some sort of plan there. We've brought in Rob McKenzie, brought in Langer. They're trying to buy players for the system, not rather good players. But if we drop 200 million in the summer, no one can come out and say, this is Levy's fault. And look, and I'm an avid Levy out fan. I've been to umpteen amounts of protests. But that narrative can't be there. That argument can't be, it's Levy. Because immediately, as soon as we lose a game, and I'm not defending Levy, but as soon as we lose a game and it's to do with this or that or whatever the scenario or situation is, immediately, within minutes, the number 1 trending hashtag within sport, especially in London, is Levy out. Yeah. Look, you people could say, yep, Levy spent 45 million quid on Brennan Johnson, but if Ange is sitting there saying he's the man, I want him for my system, and that's the problem, we're never going to know what's going on behind closed doors. Unless you're Conte and you come out and say that was a club signing specifically to the media, but Ange is never going to do that. So
thing is,
we go
and spend money. Spending that money, I agree with it, but it's got to be on quality, not quantity. Yeah, that's where we've always gone wrong. We've gone out like a kid in the sweet shop.
But we don't need quantity anymore, do we? We've had to do quantity because in recent times because we got so much turnover to get through. But now we've still got a lot of turnover to get through. But we got to be doing this wisely now and stop going for so many X amount of players and just get.
Can you not argue though, Pete? Within the last 2 years, Porro, Basuma, Sarr, Udogie, Benton.
It's got better. It's got much better. There's still a couple of wrong ones, but it's no one ever gets 100%. I'll give them that. What I will say is, well, I mean, the Brennan Johnson one, I never understood that. And I still don't. If Ange wants him, and
homegrown, that's why we bought him. We had to, once we
could have bought a better player for homegrown than a lot cheaper.
I agree.
Yeah, so that one baffles me, and sort of what's Ange's profile of a player as well? Because obviously, as it goes back to it, the standards he's used to playing in are very low, sort of the quality. So does he understand the sort of quality of player that he has to have in this league now? Yeah, hopefully he gets to that as well, because we can't just keep buying kids. We need kids, don't get me wrong, to start bringing them through and all that, but you've got to have some top quality players. These kids need examples at the club to follow, top players, top professionals, and that's when the kids will develop into top players. If they don't have that, like who's Brennan Johnson got to look up to now? Let's be honest. Who's the top player?
It's like Donnelly looking up to Maddison.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? There's the examples to follow. Yeah, we don't have that. We've had that before in certain times, but we don't have that now. Yeah, and that's where we've got to get some quality in that door, and then the young players will get better because they'll train with better players. They'll look up to better players. They can follow what better players are doing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Unless there's any final points on the topic, guys, I think we can give it a round off there. I know Dave wants to go and have a mental wank over Love Island.
I just want to say one thing, guys.
Yeah, go on,
Henry. You can't see what Big Ange is doing. Just F off Danny Emirates. Right? So that's all I want to say.
Boys, I want to say massive thank you, Pete. Debut on the show, mate. Long overdue, and you smashed it. I don't think you've got a social media to plug, have you, mate?
Not really, no. Not one I'd like to share. I'm too controversial. But no, I don't really gauge on football on Twitter because it's just it's a snake pit, and it's just something you'll be there all day. I did it a couple of times, and my phone was like a drug dealer's phone on a Friday night. It's just constant ping, 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 because you get people just going all off the rail and they all jump in. So I don't really talk about football with our own fan base because it's a nightmare.
Well, you can come back on here, mate, and discuss it with us anytime you want.
Anytime.
Dave, mate, what's coming up on the Irish Hotspur?
First of all, come on, big up, Pete. What a great addition to today's show, by the way. Good to
Yeah,
be
big
back
up,
on
Pete.
with you, my man. So I want to see everyone
you too,
spam
Dave.
this game in the comment.
Yeah, everyone say big up to Pete in the comment. Let us know. Give him a W or an L if you like. If you like Pete,
Yeah.
W. If you don't, L. No, in fact, just do the W's.
Yeah.
Don't wanna
I
scare
get
him
called W's quite often, mate. I'd rather not see that.
Yeah, look, for me, what's coming up on the Irish Hotspur, I'll be putting out a roundup of all of our players out on loan this weekend, out every Monday, 9 a.m. Make sure you're there. Smash a like. Even if you don't watch it, I get them like Marmite. Still smash a like anyway. It helps me out. So
Unbelievable stuff. Thank you so much, Dave, for coming on, my man. And Henry, what's coming up? Oh, sorry, quickly, the link is in the chat there for Dave. You just click on it, open up the new tab, and get that subscribe going. And then then Henry, what's coming up on HenryWrightTV.com?
Yeah, we got some new merch dropping this week. I've had to actually get this one age approved. So yeah, you have to be over 18 to purchase this. So yeah, make sure you check
Just
it out.
the Henry Wright dildo.
HenryWrightTV.com.
The Henry Wright dildo.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
it's a mold.
Yeah, it's
a mold.
basically I'm going to tell people once they purchase a dildo to go and F themselves. But yeah, make sure you check out HenryWrightTV.com. The merch is out, and obviously the channel got a video going out in the morning talking about the forwards. Yeah, obviously a great show as always. And yeah, big up to Pete for coming on, doing absolute wonders. Someone said, "Do you sell speedos?" That can be arranged. Man, he needs everything.
As long as you don't, as long as you ain't modelling them, I'll be all right.
Yeah, as long as I'm, yeah, I'm not going to be John Dory out. That'll be all right.
Put a picture of Timo on the front of them.
You're getting the mankini with a picture of Henry Wright TV on the crotch part, yeah?
Oh yeah, it'd be absolutely wonders, wouldn't it?
Run on the pitch doing that, mate. Get Paddy Power sponsor you.
If Henry gets speedos and sells 100 of them, he has to sit here in a pair on one of the Sunday shows.
100%. There you go. If you can do a hot chip challenge, you can do the bikini challenge.
Yeah, that one chip challenge nearly blew my. Yeah.
All right, guys. Also, smash the like on your way out. I want to say massive thank you for sharing your Sunday night with us. Back on next Sunday on Henry Wright TV for Tottenham Takes episode. I think it'll be episode 14 or 15 by then. But smash the like on your way out. Hit the subscribe. Go over to Dave. Go over to Henry. And Pete, you can't find anywhere. He's not letting us know where you can find him. But you can find him here, hopefully, very soon. Like, subscribe, and comment, guys. And as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on.